Hello fight fans and welcome back to the Hit and Don't Get Hit podcast in partnership with smartbraceletuk.com. Enter the promo code down below for 30% off on their website. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, as well as following us on Instagram, Twitter, and our links will be down below. I'm once again joined by Shane James, and we've got an exciting podcast lined up for you today where we talk Andrade versus Williams, Whittaker versus Gastelum, and we look ahead to UFC 261. But we're going to have to address it and get it out of the way. Jake Paul, Ben Askren, what did you make of that?
I'm going to say it now before Shay does. And, well, it's the view of a lot of people, I think, but it was fixed. Definitely fixed.
I knew it was going to be a first round KO.
I don't know to what extent it was, but I remember I watched a weigh-in and Ben Askren was literally there. I don't know if fixed is the right word. I think Ben Askren was just there to get paid, and he was
definitely
try and wind them up a little bit along the way and just pretty much hope that he'd win. But what makes us think the thing that makes me think the fight was fixed is that Ben Askren has been in the UFC with some of the toughest fighters about, and I know he's. You know, he got knocked out of Masvidal, but take away that Masvidal fight, he's been in some tough fights, man. To get knocked out by the first punch Jake pulled through, it just doesn't fit well, in my opinion, and that's why.
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought the whole thing was a bit of an embarrassment again. I know people were loving getting behind it all because no one knew kind of what was going to happen, but I just thought it was a bit of an embarrassment. I didn't watch it. I tuned in the next day. But it just seemed like you had I think you had Justin Bieber in that before. It just didn't really, it seemed more like a not, I don't know how to describe it. Didn't seem like a boxing event. It just seemed to be more
a mockery.
like a circus, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely like a circus, 100%. I mean, you got as much as it hurts to see, you got to give it to Jake Paul because he tricked the public into thinking, Ben Askren's got a chance. He's a 40-year-old retired wrestler who went 1-2 in the UFC. He's just come off a hip surgery. He's arguably the worst striker in the UFC history. He's made his money, Jake Paul. He's apparently sold 1.2 million pay-per-view buys, probably. But I think with Jake Paul now, he sees an elite fighter, just not at all. I think if he fights any professional boxer, I think he'll be in a lot of trouble. I think there's two fights that make sense for Jake Paul now. And one, Tommy Fury. I'd like to say that fight happened 100%. I think Tommy Fury puts him out inside 30 seconds, and then one big fight to just end all YouTube fights. That'll be him against KSI. Getting revenge for his brother, make a big pay-per-view event, probably in London, I'd say. So that's it.
No,
really,
I don't even think that. I think let him, if he wants to fight all these elite fighters, he can't fight another YouTuber. That's my opinion of it all. If he wants to call himself I'm an elite fighter, you can't go and find a YouTuber. I know the KSI's had boxing fights, but you can't it's just, and KSI won't take it. KSI's one of the few YouTubers I actually watch, and he isn't gonna. I don't think he's gonna take that fight. I think he's investing in his music career. But I think let him fight Tommy.
He doesn't need that fight. Jake doesn't need that fight necessarily.
Don't even let him fight Tommy. Just let him fight anyone who's been, who can box. Any boxer. Let him fight someone down Weymouth Boxing Club, and they'd spark them out.
I just put him with Tommy Fury. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. And Tommy Fury would get him out there. I just think the whole thing is just it's pissing me off. He's making the sport that we love an embarrassment. I think I'm actually annoyed that we've actually gone down the route of talking about it. That's not just
we can't not talk.
That's what I'm saying. We've had to go down a route where we have to talk about it. He fought a basketball player. He's fought an MMA fighter who can't throw punches. And let's be honest, if that fight was in an octagon, Ben would have choked him out inside 10 seconds. But it's draining to watch. And the thing is, I think I watched his post-fight interview again, giving the kid views. and he's saying he doesn't even want to fight a real boxer. Like he's an embarrassment. Fuck him, fuck his brother, and fuck anyone who's making this sport an embarrassment, really, like he is. So yeah.
Like if you compare it with like the Logan and KSI fight, whereas the Logan obviously it was promoted by Matchroom, so it was a more professional event. While like compared to this,
I respect the Logan and KSI fight because it was what it was. Like it was two big, very big names, and they went at it, and Eddie Hearn promoted it, and that is something I want to say. Just quickly, 30 seconds on Eddie Hearn is, in my opinion, in the last few weeks, if he gets this Fury fight over the line, the best promoter. He beat Frank Warren hands down for me because he's gone through all the efforts to get this Fury Joshua fight to happen, and I think the job he did with that KSI Logan Paul fight, it could have gone very wrong in terms of, it could have been a complete circus like Saturday's fight was, but Eddie Hearn actually did it extremely professionally, and I think both the fighters actually acted very professionally. Obviously, the boxing was, it was what it was, but yeah, I don't know if we want to move on from it. I just think final thoughts. I don't know if you lads would agree. Like, fuck Jake Paul. It's an embarrassment, and get him to fight any professional.
I just want to fight any. If he beats a legitimate professional fighter, then he'll gain my respect. But until then, I can't.
Exactly.
I can't read him as a boxer.
Then I'll change my view on him. But yeah, like, I think what he's done well is for a business standpoint. Fair play to him for that. He's clearly a very good businessman. Like, he's a clever lad, clearly. But apart from that, like, boxing and personality, like, he can get lost for all I care.
I think that's that. Moving on to a big boxing event that happened at the weekend, Andrade Williams. What did you think of that?
Well, yeah. Sorry, Shane. Go on, Shane.
I mean, apart from the knockdown, I thought Andrade controlled the first half of the fight, but then he just left. He got drawn into a fight that Liam Williams wanted to. Andrade won pretty clearly in the end, widely in my eyes. But he just turned, I just wasn't impressed. I think he needs a big name. I think Andrade's been world champion for quite a while now. Like, he's always been elite in the division, but he hasn't had that big name, that coming out fight. And I think what's perfect for him is the Triple G fight. I think Triple G holds the RBF title. I'm not sure at middleweight, so that's a good unification fight there. And Triple G's on the way out. I think Andrade beats him.
That's why I'd be so invested in that fight, because Triple G, we don't know, his age. Is he too old now? We don't. I think he's 39 or something now. I might correct us if I'm wrong, but I think he's edging towards very late 30s. Is he on his way out? And that would show me how good he can still be, Golovkin, and how good Andrade is if Andrade beats him. But it could be a lose-lose situation for Andrade in that fight. But I think he has to take it. Just because if he wins, people will say Golovkin was too old, and if he loses, then he gets beat. But again, on Saturday, I feel I completely agree with what you said as well, Shay. He went in, he frustrated him, he got knocked down. Fantastic promoting from Eddie Hearn again. Got the fight on a good time UK that I enjoyed watching. Some decent little undercard action. I can't claim I know a lot about the fighters on the undercard, but it was decent little undercard action. Nice to see some fans in the event, and that event was so much better than the whole event. It's what the sport is all about. So there's two events Saturday, and that Andrade fight for me was so much better to watch and enjoy.
Liam Williams, I've got to give him hats off to him. He tried his best, he gave it his all, but he was just too short in the end.
And maybe, I don't know. It was the build up was good during the week. It was quite interesting because
a big game, Andrade.
Yeah, it was
a big game.
Still unbeaten. I think he's gone 30-0 now.
Yeah,
big win.
So he hasn't really had that. He hasn't really had that test, has he?
Yeah, when he
I like to see him fighting like a Triple G or like a Danny Jacobs on that type of level. I know he was meant to be fighting Billy Joe Saunders a while ago, and obviously that fell through. But like, if you need to come out there and fight that big name for Andrade, like I think he's quality personally. With obviously Canelo not fighting in the 160 division. That division's wide open. You've got Charlo, you've got Golovkin, you've got Danny Jacobs, and obviously you've got Andrade. And Andrade is probably the pick of the bunch.
Yeah.
I'd say like 100%, which needs that
I like
out fight.
By the way, good tough fighter, Danny Jacobs.
Yeah, Danny Jacobs quality fighter, isn't he?
He's just fell short at the very big fights. When he's been thrown in with an elite fighter, he's pretty much been not bossed about, just outboxed by fighters. But he's a tough fighter, and I really like him. And I'd love to see Andrade versus. I think I'd rather see that than Andrade Golovkin. I know it's probably not a bigger fight, but I think it puts more on the line, kind of, for both fighters, and it's more. I don't know. I'd just be more invested in that. I think.
I think the Golovkin. I think Triple G speaks for himself. He's never in a boring fight, is he? I was guaranteed not going
always
to
takes advice. Action. Always ready to get to go to war, which would be good. He could put Andrade in deep waters, and I don't think if I was predicting that, I'd say Andrade would probably edge him on points though.
Yeah, probably.
But he wouldn't. You're not stopping Golovkin. He could be 16. You're not. Well, maybe that's a bit of an embellishment, but you're not going to stop. You're not going to stop him at.
Maybe it's like a towel thrown in situation. They just beat him to a pulp.
Yeah.
But he's definitely not knocking him out. Not stopping him.
No, Golovkin will just go to war with him, and that's what will be good. Let's see if he can swim in deep waters. I guess.
Yeah.
Moving on to the UFC at the weekend, Whittaker, Gastelum. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I thought Whittaker fought a beautiful performance. I must say. I think it was inch perfect every round. Beautiful on the feet, dominant in the takedowns as well. Kelvin Gastelum's obviously speaks for himself. He's a tough nut to crack these days. He's very durable as well. But I think Robert Whittaker showed his class tonight. And he has done these past two fights against Cannonier and Till. And I think he's really put himself up there for the rematch we were talking about it last weekend about who's fighting Adesanya next. And for me, it's 100% got to be Robert Whittaker. He just earned it now. 3 fights against 3 top contenders. He's won all 3. I just think he's come on leaps and bounds. And I generally think he'll beat Adesanya in the rematch. That's my prediction for that.
He's on an incredible run of form, isn't he, at the minute? His last 3 performances have been beautiful. I thought Saturday night again, agreeing with what you said, Shay, I think you couldn't really fault his performance. Obviously you didn't stop him, but you don't need to stop people. He showed that he has every key quality to be the top contender. He boxed well on his feet again, as you put it perfectly, to be honest, Shane. I think his last 3 performances, Saturday night, the Darren Till fight, it all just kind of says to me that Adesanya rematch has to happen now, back end of this year. And I don't know if he'd beat Adesanya. I think it would be interesting for the rematch. But yeah, I'd be very invested in that fight as well.
Obviously, it was a sort of like a short notice fight because he was originally scheduled to fight Paulo Costa. And obviously, Paulo Costa pulled out, and Kevin Gastelum came in. So I'm wondering why that puts Costa now. And in fact, I'd put Costa in with Marvin Vettori. I think that's the fight to make for me. And then the winner of them two can fight the winner of the Izzy Whittaker rematch.
I think they're all very, very good fights to make. I just want to hear your thoughts on Kelvin Gastelum. What's next for him?
I think maybe one more fight. Because if you think about it, he's lost every time he's stepped up to the big occasion. He's lost against Adesanya, Darren Till, Jack Hermanson, now Robert Whittaker. I'm just wondering when's the next L gonna come. Maybe he's putting with Kevin Holland. I'm not sure. He'll have to go back to the drawing board. Gastelum, I imagine. He's a quality fighter at the end of the day. But maybe he's starting to lose touch a little bit now. Been in some wars over the years. A lot of weight cutting. But we'll see what happens with Kelvin Gastelum. I think maybe there's 1 or 2 fights left in him.
No, I don't. I disagree. I think if you're going to step up, it's not even the big occasion shit. Yeah, I just think, you know, I don't know if it's Whittaker's quality or, you know, his. I think it was on Saturday night. It was Whittaker's quality, but every time you step up to the big occasion, it's just, if you're not going to show up, then he's the perfect example. He's UFC's Derek Chisora. He every time he steps up to a big occasion, he loses. And if you're going to do that, then what's the point, in my opinion? Like, you're gonna step up with the big boys. You've got to dance with them essentially, and you've got to get some wins. You know, when you step up with them big performances. I get, he was going in as the underdog, but for the last 5 fights, you've got to take a few of them. You know, got to take a few wins there. So I don't know if he should retire or not. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'm in 2 minds about him. Maybe give him 1 more fight, but don't put him in against a big fighter. Pretty simple, really, isn't it? Promoting job.
So moving on to UFC 261 at the weekend, we've got Usman Masvidal 2. Obviously, we all know the last fight. Usman beat Masvidal at UFC 251 with a unanimous decision. But Masvidal, I could be wrong here, he only had 6 days to prepare for that fight.
6 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it was on Fight Island. It was the opening of Fight Island, wasn't it?
I thought Masvidal was going to go and take and win. I think that fight showed how good Usman was. I think we talked about this in the first podcast, like when it was just announced. Usman takes the fight for me.
I think he stops him, Usman.
I think he stops him round.
I know
Fifth
fair enough
round,
it was 6
round.
days, I thought. But I just can't see how he gets a title shot. Masvidal, he's coming off. I don't care if it was 6 days, 3 days, 6 months. I don't really care. If you get beat 50-43 off a champion, and then you get an immediate rematch straight away in your next fight, it's not on. When you got people like Colby Covington fight, he fought Woodley and won quite handily. You've got Luke Gay, you've got Wonderboy, like who are more
I think
deserving a title shot than Hoya and Masvidal.
I get. We talked about this in the first podcast, saying that like he still went 5 rounds, so you can't use 6 days notice as an excuse because he didn't gas. He was still there. He just got, beaten, and the quality showed. So for me, the quality was the quality difference speaks for itself, and I just think Usman, Masvidal's a beast, by the way. Like, he's strong. He's scary. He's knocked out some, big. I know, cut out the Ben Askren, knockout, but he went with Nate Diaz. He was pretty comfortable. I know Diaz was still always there, but
I think he's got a very padded record, though.
I know we've discussed all this. I just think I think Usman but I just think Usman shares all them qualities that Masvidal has, and he's got more. He's got more in his locker than him, and I'm not saying they're both not tough boys. Masvidal isn't a tough lad, but Usman is just a level above him. It's simple, really. And Usman's world class. And I think coming off just a fight 3 months ago, it wasn't even like 3 months ago, it was just like February, January time he's last fought. And Usman's gonna win, in my opinion. I can't see Masvidal, but as any one punch could change the fight. But I just think Usman stops him, and I'm gonna say Usman has stopped Masvidal, round 5.
I'm going to say Usman.
He's going to choke him.
I think he'll beat him up on the ground badly, and I think he'll finish him in the 3rd round. I'm going to go for by TKO ground and pound.
I'm putting a lot of money on Usman to win on Saturday night, by the way. For a 17-year-old lad who doesn't have much money, I'm putting 40 quid on Usman to win. So let's hope I make.
You'll not be getting much.
No, well,
he's a heavy favourite.
Yeah, well, let's put it on. I'm putting all my money on the line.
What do you say if you put him on submission? If you think you
No,
got
well,
the
yeah,
balls,
that's
you
what I'm
got the
saying.
balls, do you? Put on
That's
submission.
what I'm going to do. I'm going to put £40 on Usman to beat Masvidal in a submission.
Submission. I've just got.
Masvidal is going to tap on Saturday night.
Masvidal's not going to tap.
Yes, he is. Masvidal will tap on Saturday night.
He won't tap.
Just
Not
going
a
off
chance.
Usman's previous record here, I know you see you think Masvidal's going to tap, but out of Usman's 13 UFC fights, 9 of them have come by decision. Does that not have an impact on your decision?
No, because look at his last fight against Burns. Usman can show that he can. Usman's going to put. I just think Usman just can show he can do anything. He can mix it up. He can, he can fight on the ground. I hope we'll get a war. I really want to see a war because I think these two, on the feet, just try and. It will be an absolute brutal war between them, and it'll be who lands first. But I think Usman. That's what Masvidal will favour. Masvidal will much favour them to just go on the feet and literally have a war because he's got a huge chance then of catching Usman and knocking him spark out. But I think Usman will play a lot more safe. He'll be more clever and he'll go to ground more for Masvidal. I think this fight, rather than the Burns fight where we see have a lot of stand-up fighting.
I don't know, because he took his best shots in that July fight.
Yeah.
He took his best shots and he kept on working forward, so he's obviously tasted the power and he obviously doesn't really budge him.
I just want to enlighten question because you said Masvidal doesn't deserve the shot of a title, but you've got to remember the bloke going into 2020 was a fucking superstar. This
is what I'm saying about this padded record though.
35 and 14.
He's a journeyman.
I just think the run he was on, the year he had 2019, knocks to
overrated run. Overrated run.
It was a Ben Askren fight that made him a superstar. Essentially, went in fastest ever UFC knockout, I think, and then he fought Diaz, which just kind of took him up the level, which kind of gave him the right to earn the title shot. And I think he has the right to have this rematch. I just don't think he wins on Saturday night, and I think we're going to see him retire on Saturday night.
What? Do you think?
Yeah, I think Masvidal will retire on Saturday night.
That's a bold statement.
He's going to get finished in the fifth, then he's going to retire.
Yeah, there's always got. Yeah, but
he doesn't fight.
Retire.
If you think about it, he didn't fight at all in 2018. He has too big longer gap. He hasn't fought since the Usman last fight. He should have really had another fight.
He should have fought Colby. He should have fought Colby. That was the fight.
No, I just don't think I think he's a millionaire essentially. You can see he's got a pie record, but he's massive shit. He's made so much money just off so many stuff. I think now after that year he had 2019, and I just don't think he's going to care. I think he wants to win. I think he wants. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. I think he wants to win on Saturday, but I just don't think if he doesn't win, which obviously I think we're all saying that he won't win, I don't think he's going to care to fight anymore. Because if you think about it, he's always said in interviews how he just fights for his family, that kind of thing. And I just think his personality. He doesn't want to do it anymore after Saturday. He won't want to do it anymore because I don't think he's going to win. So we came on here on Sunday and he'd knocked him out. Imagine how massive that would be. That would be crazy if Masvidal does that.
I think that's obviously the main event, and the co-main event is an absolute banger. This is the fight I'm looking forward to most on the card, and it's Zhang against Rose. It's going to be an absolute war. I'm really excited for this fight. Rose is obviously coming off a big win against Andrade in the rematch. I thought she performed really well. And obviously Zhang's coming off that fight of the year contender in 2020 against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And she's top of the range as well. Zhang, very durable. And it just starts me excited, and I think this is going to be an absolute dog fight. I imagine it being very similar to the Joanna Zhang fight. I'm curious to see if Rose takes it to the ground, though. That'd be my only worry. But she's very good on the feet as well, Rose. But Zhang hasn't really been tested on the ground. She is very strong as well. But I want to address something as well. The stuff what Rose has been seeing in the media about she just turned the fight political, in my opinion, talking about how the Chinese government or soldiers, whatever, something to do with that Lithuanian ancestors. There was just no need to turn the fight political. Like your two world class fighters just fight it out. You know what I mean? Like there's no need to turn it all political and try and make out Zhang to be the bad person when it's got absolutely nothing to do with what country she's from. She can't help that she's Chinese. You know what I mean? But apart from that, like, listen, I think it's going to be one of the fights of the year. So it's going to be a really close fight.
Who do you see taking it?
I think Zhang gets a late on. I'm saying round 4, TKO. It's going to be a really close couple of rounds. I think Zhang will wear her down, wipe her down as well, beat her up in the end. Yeah, I think she'll stop Rose in the 4th round. So listen, it could go either way. I think it's I don't know what the odds are, but I generally see it as a 50-50 fight, in my opinion.
Anyway, moving on to the 3rd title fight of the night, Shevchenko versus Andrade. How do you say that one going?
I personally see Valentina masterclass on the feet. I'd imagine so. Listen, Andrade.
Masterclass like she, Hoya.
What do you mean?
Come off masterclass.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I'm being serious.
Have you ever seen?
It's going to be It's going to be a good performance. You'll win, but it's not going to be anything like, it's not going to be a masterclass shit. You say the problem with the shit, right, viewers, is he says there's too many.
The problem is with. Do you know what the problem is with?
How many times, right, when we were doing the Stipe Ngannou build up, did you say? How many times did she say who's the best heavyweight of all time? You said it about 3 different fighters. You said it about Stipe. You said it about Ngannou. You said it about Cormier. You think every UFC heavyweight is the best fighter of all time. So this whole version of masterclass, it's not going to be a masterclass. It's going to be a decent performance by a fighter fighting on the undercard, essentially.
How many Shevchenko fights have you seen?
I've seen.
There you go. Then that's the end of that. Before I was rudely interrupted by.
No, I didn't rudely interrupt. I was saying.
I forgot his name. Anyways.
It's not going to be a masterclass. It's going to be.
It is going to be like. Listen, we're not Andrade can bang, but still, she is very limited. She's obviously small, and Shevchenko's stand-up is beautiful. Beautiful, she's a beautiful striker. And she's came close to beating Nunes before. She's probably the only person I think that would give Nunes a chance to beat her. Listen, if you can outstrike Joanna Jędrzejczyk, like Andrade lost every single round to Joanna when they fought before, and I mean every single round. And there was a brilliant display by Joanna in that fight. And it'd just be exact same what's going to happen in the Valentina fight. She'll not stop her, but it'll be a 50-45 clean sweep for Valentina Shevchenko. Like 1,000,000% no doubt about it. In fact, she is coming off at fair enough. She is coming off at I wouldn't say it was disappointing, but it was a boring, say the less, against Jennifer Maia.
Exactly.
But like she was coming off a bit layoff like since February, so you can argue that.
She has been very active. I'll give her that. I think she fought in February time. I can't remember who she even fought, but I know she it was a TKO in February time.
Yeah, she fought Katlyn Chookagian. I remember it was a very easy fight for her.
Yeah. I don't know. I just whatever. Like I'm not going to be too bothered about that fight. I'm bothered about Masvidal Usman. Essentially, I think.
See, this is what How can you not be bothered about this fight? Two world class
Because
fighters.
it just doesn't interest us. Like I don't know. I need to get behind women's fighting more, and I think that's
You do.
a lot I have, and I need to get into it more.
You absolutely do, because I'm telling you, Valentine, the women are going to steal the show on Saturday night. Trust us, I believe they will. It's all build up as the Usman Masvidal fight, but the women will steal the show. 2 fight the night contenders, 4 world class fighters. It's going to be a brilliant show. It's going to be a brilliant showcase for the fans.
Another fight that's, I think, has gone under the radar a bit. Chris Weidman, Uriah Hall. How do you say that one going?
Last time we seen Uriah Hall was against Anderson Silva, wasn't he? Got the stoppage. I think it was Halloween. It's a bit. Chris Weidman hasn't done much really.
I think he's going to lose. I think Hall's going to beat him.
I think I've got Uriah Hall in that. I think he'll probably. I'm going to say Uriah Hall second round TKO.
Yeah. He goes in as a big underdog, Weidman, in my opinion.
Yeah, Hall is the betting favourite.
Is he?
Yeah.
It's a rematch, isn't it? I was saying, yeah, it's a rematch. So when did they fought? Obviously, Weidman would have won. I'm having a look here. Was it before the UFC they fought?
He beat Anderson Silva.
Yes, it was. It's a Ring of Combat in September 24th, 2010. He lost to Chris Weidman by TKO.
Right, well, let's put that in now, because that's quite big.
Yeah, but that's, 11 years ago. And obviously Chris Weidman...
Yeah, but the history there is big, isn't it? Like, that's pretty big history, that, isn't it? 11 years later, they're having it again. Is it? I know. I think that's what I'm excited for. Definitely.
He's riding a 3-fight win streak as well. You're right, If he puts in a good display against Chris Weidman, I mean, that puts him in a good spot, my opinion, in the talented middleweight division. And obviously, Chris Weidman needs this win badly, because he's had 2 wins in 5 years.
2 wins of his last 7 fights. 36-year-old. I mean, it's not looking good for him.
Nah, I mean, like, to be fair, he's lost world class fighters when he moved up and weight against Dominic Reyes, Jacare got beat off, Mousasi, Romero, and Luke Rockhold. But it's a must win. It's a similar situation to the Tyron Woodley fight, obviously. Past, like, former UFC champions fighting for the contracts, to be fair. But I think if he does get beat here, probably Bellator, something like that. But that fight, I agree with you, that fight has definitely went under the radar. But it's going to be a great fight to watch, 100%.
Moving on, there's been a lot going on Twitter, especially with Conor McGregor. He's been, I can't exactly remember what it was, but he's kind of been calling out everyone for taking drugs in the UFC. What are your thoughts on that?
I think
McGregor.
Yeah, this is my subject. You're a McGregor here at the reach. This is my subject.
No, you just love McGregor too much, and you don't. What he's saying is, it's just completely. He's just an idiot, and he's not going to. Right. We said this last podcast. He's getting beat. He's going to get smoked in the first round. So.
Shut up. This, anyways. I think the old Mac.
No, you shutting us down again, but like McGregor's getting so.
I loved the Twitter exchange with Diaz. I loved it. I loved every second of it. It was brilliant to watch. I love Nathan Diaz. Like, to be fair, it was just funny as out. And he is right about. I want to get the tweet up right now. Actually, I don't know if he's deleted it though. He does that a lot. Conor McGregor, he tweets and then he deletes.
I've got the Nathan Diaz translator.
Diaz would beat McGregor in a third fight.
It depends what weight it is.
No, he'd beat him. McGregor, he'd beat him in the third round, hands down. McGregor ain't got what he had anymore. Simple. He's getting beat. Poirier's going to get one first round.
God.
About all this Twitter beef. He can beef people on Twitter all he wants. the whole he got knocked, he got sparked in January, and I don't know how he has the right to run his mouth anymore. To be honest, he was a good fighter of 2 years.
Who did you have win that fight in January?
I had McGregor winning the fight.
There you go, then. So,
So, but I'm just saying that's how it is. Poirier is going to be.
Were you wanting McGregor to win last fight?
Yeah, I want him to win. I want him to win in July. But I'm sick of this.
Do you?
I'm sick of this
Oh
whole.
my God!
I'm sick of this whole like demeanour on Twitter. Just get in training camp, train, and win the trilogy.
Which it looks like he's doing, by the way. I've seen his
100%,
videos. He's got the karate stance back, which made Shea loved.
Wow.
Anyways, I brought the tweet here. He's tweeting Jeff Novkitsky from USADA in the UFC. He put, "How come the public isn't told about positive tests anymore? How after Nate Diaz steroid I don't know how to pronounce it, tobacco, whatever it's called, Ryan produced his own nutrition company's tainted multivitamin and was instantly cleared prior to a mega money fight. Are we in the dark on test results now?"
Yeah, very, very dodgy.
And then he put a quote, "Everyone on steroids," in a quotation obviously, and he put dash steroid user Nathan Diaz. He said,
I don't think
well,
Nate
anyways,
Diaz is a steroid user. Have you seen how he's very skinny, Nate Diaz?
but can you not remember that whole thing before the Masvidal fight? I don't know if you can remember. Because it's about to get caught off when you feel the test.
Something about a little, like a supplement he'd been taking. Yeah, and they kind of just cleared it and swept it under the... Yeah.
He says, well, anyways, thanks for clearing up for me, Jeff. The silence makes perfect. Also, where's my USADA over 50... Where's my USADA over 50 clean test completed, Jack? And I say everyone else gets. He says, I want to wipe my ass for it. And then Nathan Diaz replied back with a picture of McGregor after the first fight. McGregor, fast system, this is what steroids do to you. And then McGregor obviously pops back and puts a picture of him bloodying up Nathan Diaz's face in the second fight. He says, silly goose. This was pre-McGregor fast. McGregor fast was created in the aftermath of that fight. Here is an image of a direct result of me following the program. Your face left like a bowl of leftover salsa. now download the app, you little juicehead turkey. I think it was. I just love it when they both like got at her, doing it like that.
They are the perfect rivalry.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Literally, Conor McGregor.
I don't think they hate each other. I think it's more like, but I don't think him and Poirier don't hate each other. I think it's more just like, I think that Nate Diaz and McGregor is a lot more. What's the word? It's a lot more tense, I think, with them two. But I think overall they respect each other. They're just the perfect rivalry. McGregor and Poirier, it's a bit different, but it's still a great rivalry again, I think. And I do think McGregor has some fantastic rivalries, but that's because he loses fights. It's simply he wins fights. It's just I just think
Listen, there wouldn't be Nate Diaz wouldn't be where he was if he didn't get that fluke of a win against McGregor in the first fight.
I wouldn't say a fluke. I agree with what you're saying, but I wouldn't say it was a fluke.
You know what I mean? But anyways, McGregor literally made him. Take that fight away. What, he beat Anthony Pettis? Right, who's Anthony Pettis beating in the past?
Well, he had a famous brother as well.
You can say he made him all.
Even who's Nick beat? Like, you just...
True.
You can say
McGregor made
him all he wants, but beat him convincingly. He gave him a fight. Diaz beat him, and then they had the rematch, and it just turned out to be the perfect rivalry. McGregor didn't make him. Fair play to McGregor for taking the fight the first time in 11 days' notice.
To be fair, right, I didn't even know who Nate Diaz was before the first fight, till that fight got announced. That just shows.
Yeah.
Was in March. Was it March 2016? That fight was the first fight.
Yeah.
Nate Diaz, he's a journeyman as well. To be fair, but he's going to get butchered up against Leon. That's obviously to come in the next couple of weeks. We'll obviously get them all that in detail.
I think he's got Nate Diaz. I think that's his problem. You can say he's tough, but I think he just took too many shots. I love him, but come on, he is an idiot. He is a proper idiot. But yeah, good, some funny beef with him and Diaz. I find it entertaining overall. It just frustrates us sometimes, McGregor. I just hope he wins in July, and I hope he proves us wrong, because I am doubting him a lot. But
you want to make your mind up here, like.
no,
I swear. What
he's
is Joe, right? He's got, if McGregor knocks out Poirier, he's got to be posting Instagram stories and that, isn't he?
He's got. I've always loved McGregor. Always supported him.
He is 100% pre-fight. He's like, go on, but the weigh-ins, go on, McGregor. 100% he is.
No,
And if he loses, I've never believed in him.
Well, come on, shit. So what are you going to do when he loses? When he gets beat in the first round? What are you going to do then?
What do you mean? What am I going to do then?
Because you've got McGregor. You can say it. You can have this argument for us all you want, but you are a McGregor fanboy. If
I can back McGregor against one of the greatest fighters of all time, having McGregor not fought a professional fight ever, I'm going to back him against anyone. McGregor's had bigger losses off Khabib, but we'll handle that.
Yeah.
Just going back to the whole drug testing thing, I'd like to kind of compare it. So, just hypothetically, if Usain Bolt, obviously the king of athletics, if he got done for drugs, in my opinion, the kind of athletic commission would not kind of ban him because of how bad it would look on the sport. Do you think the UFC are doing similar things like that?
Well, Bolt's retired, so
he is retired. But I'm just saying, like, if he comes back and all of a sudden they find he's on drugs, they would not release anything because it would damage the sport drastically. And I think that's similar to the UFC.
Yeah,
well,
but
Brock
I also
Lesnar.
think like it would be so like out there because of Bolt's like profile that like they might have no choice.
Like, just look at when Lance Armstrong got done when he was in cycling. I can't remember exactly when that was. That damaged the sport like crazy. All of a sudden, it was like, everyone's on drugs. Do you think that's a similar thing in the UFC? Or
look at Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar came back.
It's just McGregor talking shite, to be honest.
Mate, shut up. Listen, what I was going to say.
Brock Lesnar.
The exact same happened when Brock Lesnar came back, wasn't it? Obviously, it's a different policy over WWE, and he came in. He didn't enter the drug testing bill before that Mark 1 fight at UFC 200, and obviously the
McGregor's still in my opinion, not performance enhancing ones, but other ones, in my opinion. If you look at his life,
cocaine.
Yeah.
I mean, what? No,
that wasn't the boost performance.
Tyson Fury's done cocaine.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, if you're going to criticise people doing it, takes.
It's performance. He's talking about steroid enhancement.
I'm talking about like enhancing you in the fight.
Yeah.
If he took cocaine before a fight, it would be seen as a performance enhancer because it's like to do with alertness. But if he does it after a fight, I mean, I don't agree with it, but he wouldn't get banned for that. Well, he might actually, but I doubt it.
I think performance enhancing drugs they're wrong. And if people do them, they should be sacked from the sport. But I don't think there's enough evidence there yet on the grounds of UFC fighters doing it, or the UFC that McGregor's talking about doing it.
True, but there have been quite a few fighters caught over the years.
Right, I think the biggest one is TJ.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was the first one that sprung to mind.
He had his belt took off.
He doesn't take
John Jones.
Drugs don't agree with TJ because he just cries all the time. They don't make him happy, do they? So he's just a big. He's another bum. I can't stand that kid. He just needs to grow up. So
Corey Sandhagen's going to do a big beating on him.
And it clearly don't work. And if he took performance enhancing drugs, it clearly don't work because he gets beat every time he fights.
Right, moving on to some questions now. We've had a few sent over on Instagram. I've obviously, as usual, I picked the best 3. So, the first one, what is the strongest division in the UFC at present?
Heavyweight.
I'm
going to say that right now, heavyweight.
Bantamweight, for me.
Oh, big shout.
I'm seeing bantamweight. Like.
Why she and then why James?
Well, I just think there's so many. I think lightweight could be big, and I think it's probably the big one for the last few years. That has been because of McGregor and Oscillating, but it is because of McGregor and because of the big fighters in that division. But I just think heavyweight, the potential fights. I think after this year it'll go back to being lightweight. But I just think at the minute this year, like you've got Ngannou, you've got Ngannou, John Jones. That's like the biggest fight like about in years. You know what I mean? It's like I just think the heavyweight division has so many potential fights that are so big, and I think lightweight could be the same. I just think Khabib retiring. Lightweight's very open at the minute, which is very exciting. I just think at the minute, heavyweight in terms of the fighters there is the best division.
With me, with bantamweight, that division is so open. Like, it's so open. There's many people coming through. Obviously, TJ is coming back. There's Corey Sandy again. There's obviously the champion, well, sort of champion. Sterling. You've got Peter Yan. You've got Jose Aldo. You've got Dominic Cruz. You've got Rob Font. You've got Sean O'Malley. I think that's just a really stacked division. I think that's the best division UFC can offer.
I agree. We probably won't get as much recognition either, that's why I probably haven't said it. But I think that was a big shout from you, Shane. I think I think fair enough. I just think it's a shame that it probably won't get as much recognition because of how big lightweight and heavyweight have become.
So moving on to the next question. Actually, a little bit of backstory to this one. So we discussed possibly the last podcast before. Oscar De La Hoya is coming out of retirement for a fight in July, and one of the potential opponents, I think it's in the works, is Eddie Alvarez. So, would you like to see that fight? And if so, who wins?
Oh, that
bit of a joke fight, but
yeah, but it would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? Like Eddie Alvarez is a great fighter. And Eddie Alvarez would probably beat him, I think, I actually believe that. I think Eddie Alvarez would beat him. But I think fights like that, it would be fixed.
Just a joke, people like them they shouldn't let old men back in the ring.
Yeah, that's why it would be kind of fixed, in my opinion. I just think
cocaine's an expensive drug, and it's a hell of a drug. He's got to pay the money off. That's what I'm coming out of retirement for. Yeah,
exactly. It's a shame, because as I think we mentioned it again, obviously we're going to use some repetition here. Oscar De La Hoya is one of the greats of all time.
Definitely, he's quality in his prime. It was quality. It's just a shame, seeing fighters coming out of the prime. It's just a shame.
Such a good promoter as well, and I just think it's a massive shame that he's come back. And just to fight Eddie Alvarez, I don't know Eddie Alvarez. He's a great fighter and he was a great champion. But I just think have some respect for yourself, and. That's all I've got to say really on it. I just think if they had the fight, right, obviously in De La Hoya's prime, De La Hoya would beat him inside 2 rounds. But I think right now, it would probably end up going to points, and it would kind of have similar rules that Mike Tyson fight had on it. I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't be invested in it, to be honest. I just think it'd be a massive shame for Oscar De La Hoya.
Moving on to the next question. I quite like this question, actually. Which UFC fighter or boxer, past or present, has the best nickname? What was your favourite?
Notorious.
Oh, God.
Notorious.
We all knew.
For me, I don't know why, I just love the nickname Korean Zombie. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's quality as well. There's one more. I'm trying to think what it is.
Well, there's Tyson Fury's the Gypsy King, because
that's a good one. That is
pretty special, to be fair. Like when you hear that, it gives you goosebumps, doesn't it?
Oh, Tony Bomber Bellew for me.
Oh yeah,
Bomber.
Dr.
Stalehammer Klitschko.
Yeah, exactly. There is some very good.
Dr. Stalehammer Klitschko. That's mine actually. 100%. I love Klitschko.
I think AJ's is very iconic, but it's not like the best.
It's not very imaginative.
Yeah, but it's so iconic. But I think like. When you hear Tyson, the Gypsy King, it's just like, it gives you goosebumps, stuff like that. But I think there is some very good boxing nicknames. I think it's important. You know what I mean? Like I think people, as much as it's you need to take it serious, but I think you do need a good I think it's classed as an Elias or something, isn't it? Like I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, But nicknames are important. I think you've got to have a strong one. What would yours be if you had one?
What?
A nickname. So Shay, the dickhead, Chris there.
I'm joking. About this, right? Talk about boxing meetings. How about me and you get in the ring?
What?
Get some gloves on, ain't you?
Yeah.
Have a little tickle.
Yeah.
A little tickle. In all seriousness, that'd be like same initial as your last name, wouldn't it?
Mine would be my name would literally go off UFC 4 career mode. No, it'd be Juggernaut, because that was the only J in the whole of UFC career mode. Which, I mean, then that career mode's pretty pants out. They need to update that. Get some actual press conferences going.
Have you got UFC 4?
Yeah.
I like the career mode, to be fair on it.
I like it, but it's like it could be so much better, which is why I say it's not very good. Because
mine's Crusher. Or
I think I did that thing where it gives you your box nickname. It was like some like app that did it for us. I can't even remember what it was now. I don't know what mine would be, to be honest. I have to think of one. But yeah, I agree. But sure. But yeah, I think I like that question. It's a good question. Shout out to the person who asked it. I think the best one is I'm gonna go with Gypsy King. I know it's a classic, but I just think it's for our era, for our Iron Mike. Yeah, I think all time Iron Mike. You don't get better than that, do you? Like, come on, there's some iconic ones. So
what,
yeah,
Iron Michael Chandler or
no Iron Mike.
I'm joking,
man. But yeah, the Notorious is pretty good, but I just think boxing wise, I think to be fair, UFC wise, Notorious has to be up there. I think just for the originality of it all, it is pretty cool. And then boxing wise, I think the Gypsy King or Iron Mike.
In contrast to that, what would be like the worst, like rubbish ones? Like ones where you hear and you're like, oh god, that's
pretty boy, because so many people have it.
What about money? I don't like the money.
Yeah,
like
but
money. Chad Mendes adopted the money.
Floyd wasn't money. It was actually
like a strawweight.
Floyd Mayweather was pretty boy for a lot of the time, and then he became money.
Yeah, it was pretty boy Floyd, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then Josh Kelly's pretty boy. I just think it's a bit like too many have it. Like, I know they're the big ones, but you get when you watch like undercards in a lot of like matchroom events, you get a lot of them who call themselves pretty boy, and it's a bit irritating. Like, not just go off your name. Like, I'm here King Khan. Simple, kept it simple. Khan, like, it's simple but effective, isn't it? But
yeah,
some good ones. Body Snatcher, that's a good one. Dillian the Body Snatcher has some good ones.
Simple, but I like Bones, John Bones Jones.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Johnny Bones.
Some good ones. There are some good ones. Sorry, I apologise to all our viewers. I've been eating, and to you too as well, I've been eating Maryland cookies on all the podcasts because they're too nice. So I apologise, there's been a lot of crunching.
Is that why you've been on mute half the time?
Yeah, I keep up myself on mute every time I have a Maryland, but yeah.
It should be a rule, no snacks allowed. I got wrong
just to wrap up, I think because we talked about a lot, I think he's going to agree or disagree or one, but I think for the main events, Jake Paul fight, embarrassment, the Williams and Andrade fight, Andrade a good performance, frustrated them. Would love to see Andrade against Triple G. UFC, the Whittaker fight, fantastic performance, deserves a rematch with Adesanya. UFC 261, we're back in an Usman win, but I think I'd love to see it go, Masvidal do it, but I don't think he will. Undercards are expecting some big fights on the undercard. And going on to the question, drugs with UFC, pretty not very good in going on to the questions. Yeah, we've mentioned them. So I think they're the big talking points. I don't know if everyone wants to agree with us, especially Twitter user who try to beef us.
That was a good little summary, actually. So everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to like the video, share it to your mates. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Our links will be in the description below. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Boom.